Hi, I'm Christine.
And I'm Emma.
In 2016, we launched the No Justice Project in partnership with Drake University's Middleton Center for Children's Rights. It has since then become an annual art exhibit highlighting our youth artists.
This project aimed to show youth in our judicial system and youth who are refugees, immigrants, and first-generation Americans that their future is hopeful and their life experiences and voices matter.
No Justice gave youth the tools and opportunity to learn about their personal rights, contemplate their own participation in the justice system, and provided a healthy way to respond creatively through art.
Using art to elevate the voices of young people living on the margins, the No Justice Project engaged the public in a discourse around system disproportionality and social injustices these youth face.
In 2019, we hosted No Justice Origins.
Youth artists were encouraged to think about their own origins, their own beginnings.
This theme also made us reflect on our own origin story as ArtForce Iowa.
ArtForce Iowa was conceived by a man convicted of attempted murder and terrorism for a drive-by shooting that happened in the summer of 1999 in Des Moines, Iowa. While in prison, he discovered his talent as a writer and authored 3 manuscripts. After his release, the author and a teacher collaborated to establish Iowa Arts in Education to reach children and youth living in high poverty, high crime neighborhoods by encouraging their creativity in any artistic arena.
Free art workshops began in a small rented basement office space under a strip mall in 2013, with participants referred through Polk County Department of Juvenile Justice. Leadership of young people shaped the program, and now we have shared space with over 1,500 youth artists who come from all backgrounds. This was the first exhibit where ArtForce Iowa didn't host No Justice at the Polk County Heritage Gallery. We actually created this exhibit in a warehouse behind our studio space.
Our artist mentors worked night and day to get the space ready. They created their own walls out of plywood sheets and installed their own lighting systems.
And as some of you might remember, No Justice Origins happened at a time when we lost running water to the building. So we had 6 kaibos in the courtyard. But this also happened to be one of our favorite exhibits. This would be the last exhibit that ArtForce Iowa would host until 2021.
And this exhibit was amazing. We had a fashion show, not to mention amazing vocal performances and poetry. No Justice Origins got back to the heart of beginnings. Artist mentors and Drake Law students worked together to weave in difficult concepts such as disproportional incarceration of people of color and immigration discrimination.
We have asked former youth artists to join us in reflecting on what this experience meant to them. Here's what they have to say.
Well, the nature of this exhibit, first off, was we no longer had access to the space at the Polk County Heritage Galleries. We had to put together the exhibit somewhere on the property ArtForce existed in. And the best place to do that was a fairly empty warehouse behind the building that was largely open to the elements. It had big sliding metal doors. It was built out of cinder block, brick. It was not a gallery. With the help of Matthew Sheets and Kevin Hawkinson, we constructed a gallery made out of plywood. And I remember as we were doing this, thinking to myself, this is gonna be made or broken by the lighting. Because when we had finally finished assembling it, it just kind of looked like a bunch of plywood in a warehouse, standing up. And it didn't really quite look like an art gallery. And that was where Kevin became an invaluable help because he assembled for us some mounts for floodlights where we could do point spot gallery lighting. I really feel like that show forced us kind of into what ArtForce is really about, its origins. I know that we were asking the youth about their origins, but it really we really had to look inward for so much problem solving, and there was so much of a kind of a DIY, shabby chic feel to it. At a time when the location of ArtForce felt like it was going to be changing soon, or it was at least in question. And so like Origins just feels fitting, the nature of the show, that we were kind of looking at like what ArtForce is going to be, and also how can we display artwork without a gallery to display it in. And so having to go back to the drawing board, back to the, I guess you could say, the origin of the project of No Justice, and then start from scratch and build from there. I remember there being some really lovely paintings there. I know we had some very gifted figurative work that really spoke to me, and some really nice 3D work. There was a assembled house that was done by December that helped to fill out kind of the center space between the kind of the corridor that we had built.
The third year of No Justice was Origin, and I recreated my childhood home. At that time, my sister was in Thailand, so I literally just asked her to take a picture of like how the home is like currently, because my uncle currently lived there. So I grew up in a refugee camp in Thailand. All our houses are like that. Some of them have no electricity, but like for the most part, we don't like live in a building that is made out of like, you know, cement and like all this stuff. So I just wanted people to see how my home was like growing up in a refugee camp in Southeast Asia, because I feel like a lot of the places in that area are similar to this. I know for sure in Thailand, a lot of the houses in the refugee camps are like this, unless you have money that you can like, you know, rebuild the houses yourself. After she sent the photo to me, we started getting like wood to recreate the homes. And I feel like it was a long process, just because you have to have the correct measurement, but also I feel like we didn't have the like right supplies, because like the supplies that they use, especially for the rooftop, are leaves, and we have to like use what we have, because you know they don't have that here in the US. So we use tamale leaves, and I feel like that was really cool. Like it turned out really well. We have to like toast it in the oven, I remember. Throughout that process, everybody was helping me. Like I feel like everyone was doing their own projects, but at the same time, like when they're not doing something, they would just come and help me like paint the house. One of the projects that was like the toughest for me, just because there was just, we also had to use glue, and the house just keep falling apart. So I'm like, what? So I feel like even like during the day of No Justice, the house was still falling apart, and we have to like put it in a place where we have to make sure that it's not gonna fall. For me, Origin was about me creating my home and how I can showcase it to people who have never been to Southeast Asia, who hasn't experienced that type of living.
And then also the maze of life done by our very own Ron. This like kind of fragile piece, but one that filled the center of the room in a really nice way. Sculptural in every sense of the word, in that as you walked around it, every time, you know, as you walk around it, the piece changes, which is what all sculpture should do. It's something that should be experienced, and you know, from all angles.
Back in 2018, I will recover the. It's about my life. I recovered it then, and it was me and Jackson and Matt. We did like about alcoholic, and then later on, my life have changed. This is the first one I make. It's my favorite, and it's like. I think back my life before, and now it's have definitely changed. Why I like to make a video is like I watch it on the YouTube. It inspired me to make a video and blog. I really like it. Trying to make like a little bit of story and put it together. Back in 2015 to 19, it was also No Justice projects I did, and then my memory is Like we go to water park together, eat together, and we go to the church together and red event. Yes, this is my memory. I never forget it.
I think that was my favorite opening we ever had because of the nature of the limitations we had. Like, for instance, we didn't have running water, but I know we had portable bathrooms there, and I know that we had snacks and drinks for people. And I also know that people showed up. I remember that people really showed up for that one and gathered in this, like, had to pass through the recently flooded ArtForce building, through that space, out into the bitter cold on this weirdly cold day in May, and then into this, like, warm, in every sense of the word, warm in community, warm in temperature, warm in lighting, space that we had made ourselves from scratch. And I just remember it being very full. And I remember thinking to myself just how wonderful and lovely it was to have spent the last 2 weeks there building this, and then having everything that can go wrong, that did go wrong, and still, the community really showing up for us that day. I think that opening was the most memorable moment. Funny way, it was our best show, despite all of the challenges, and probably because of all of the challenges. I think that one in particular is really near and dear to my heart. I know to the hearts of everybody at ArtForce. I think that show really stood out. I think in part just because of the journey it took to get there, but also because of just how amazing it was. It just was an amazing experience we created. It was the last one of that space too, where we had the space at Hawkinson. That was the last one. It was fitting that was the last No Justice in that space. Yeah, with the theme of origins, and in ArtForce today, and everything that it is today, began at 600 Holcomb.
Since 2016, ArtForce Iowa has hosted a No Justice exhibit every year, except 2020 due to the pandemic. Each year had a different theme, giving youth artists opportunities to explore, reflect, and create in response to the theme.
As this series comes to an end, we want to honor where we have been, where we are, and where we are going. Every month leading up to our final exhibit, No Justice Legacies, we will be releasing a small documentary like this to celebrate the legacy of this series.
We invite you to be a part of this exhibit by sharing your story with us. If you're a creator, we want you to submit your story today. If you're not a creator, we're here to help.
At ArtForce Iowa, we believe we are the stories our community collects, and we want to honor our collective heritage together. For more information, go to kjlegacy.org to find out how you can be a part of our legacy.
Share your story today.